follow me when the sky starts to change. Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again.
With anime in our souls and thoughts of wrestling out of control, we are a group of weebs who love the entertainment of professional wrestling. So, allow us to be the voices inside of your head as we go through the wrestling event of the evening, give our thoughts and predictions on what's to come, and provide an experience exclusive to all you nerds out there. So, grab your steel chair, yell for the table, get put through an experience unlike any other. Of course, we are brought to you by Anime Studio, and this is the Weebs of the Ring podcast. Greetings, salutations, bienvenue, bienvenido. I forgot how the other one goes, but welcome everybody. We, of course, are the Weebs of the Ring. We are here to give you our SmackDown lowdown that we do every single week whenever SmackDown goes off the air. I, of course, am one of your co-hosts, the world champion Watkins, here to help you guys kind of process and guide you through some of these stories, these intertwining things going on as we go towards the road to WrestleMania and as we get into the Elimination Chamber next week in Toronto. Unfortunately, Vash is not here. He ended up having to go into the demon realm and had to take care of some little imp guy. I don't know. He tried to explain it to me, but it's all non-canon anyways, apparently, so I just shove that aside. But of course, we have the genius of the mat himself drop this box to help us process these stories. Drop, how you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. I mean, I'll definitely say this was a better show compared to last week.
Yeah, and probably better than Monday. Like, you won't be hearing us rant at least too much with too many things. There might be a couple things we might have to pop off on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this was a really good SmackDown, and I am gonna have to pop off really quickly. I think part of it had to do with the fact that Joe Tessitore wasn't on the show. Now, I like Joe Tessitore's work. He's a professional. He's good at what he does, but he wasn't here tonight for reasons I don't know. I didn't really research before the podcast and all that. Oh, boxing event? Okay. But we had Vic Joseph from NXT come up. So him and Wade Barrett kind of rekindled their chemistry a little bit. And man, Vic Joseph really knows. Like, I mean, I really liked his work in NXT, but man, he really knows just how to keep you engaged throughout the entirety of a show. And man, these 3 hours of SmackDown really blew by because of him.
Yeah, it really did. Felt like it went by a lot faster than it normally does.
Like, I felt more engaged with the product, and yeah, like he sounded like he knew more about what he was talking about. He was very excited on different aspects of things going on. So yeah, man, it was a breath of fresh air from what we're exposed to. So I just ask, Joe Tessitore, please take some notes and just add a little bit more excitement, add a little bit more energy to your commentating. I mean, I know part of that might not be your fault, just because I think just your voice is a little calming, which is fine. But in the realm of WWE and sports entertainment, you kind of need to do a little bit more. Oh man, but we're just gonna go into the show itself. We have a lot to go through, a lot of process, a lot to talk about, a lot to dissect here. And I mean, most of our headline story, it kind of involves the Elimination Chamber, kind of involves who's gonna be facing off against Cody. And tonight, Cody actually started off the news. He came out. He was like, "Hey, welcome to Friday Night Smackdown and all that. We are here. What do you guys want to talk about, basically?" And yeah, we need to figure out who Cody's going to face at WrestleMania. So he's kind of bigging up the Elimination Chamber, saying, "Hey, it could be CM Punk. It could be John Cena. It could also be Drew McIntyre." Just like the way he said it, summoned Drew, because Drew didn't like the way he said it and all that. And they kind of had a back and forth. Yeah, this is just more teasing, I guess, for Drew Cody program. But I guess I'll ask this first real quick. I mean, I know we pretty much have our picks for the Elimination Chamber, but what would you say if Drew actually ended up winning the Elimination Chamber facing Cody? Because we did see the report, and we talked about it last night on Grappling with the Week, that they were thinking about changing Drew's plans for Mania. Now, I'm not saying they're going to change them all the way to face Cody, but how would you feel if that was the case, if we ended up getting Drew versus Cody at WrestleMania?
I would personally hold it off until SummerSlam, because
Yeah.
I would rather Drew come out of Mania with some momentum, if that is the direction, because you never know, he might go up against somebody within that match, and that might elevate them, and then Drew might have to figure out how he's going to get on the top again. And King of the Ring is right around the corner, because I'm still sticking to my original plan when it came to Drew. Have him win King of the Ring, have him face Cody at SummerSlam, have him win, and you could obviously, you can not really do a program of like Drew and Cena later in the year, because Drew really wants to work with Cena. So
Yeah.
you could do something along the lines of that. But I would I be against if it happened? No, but I would just probably prolong it a little bit.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. Like I would rather them hold off on it right now, but I do appreciate them at least planting some seeds here and there, and just kind of making us think like, okay, we could see it, because like Drew was even saying, yeah, I've won 2 Elimination Chamber matches before, one of them for the title I was holding at the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, Drew's been experienced in that chamber match. So yeah, it's basically just giving us his shot and showing us how strong he's going to be looking in that chamber match. But this also summons the person who might be in the chamber later on tonight. It summons good old Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga to come out, confront these two and all that. And I mean, again, a Drew Jacob Fatu match, that's also very tantalizing. But yeah, so they. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, just you can keep going.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, so they basically come out, and Drew just walks away because he's like, okay, fine, I'm not going to deal with this. Very smart of you, Drew, for just walking away from that fight. And yeah, they kind of confront Cody. We're getting more teases of Jacob Fatu versus Cody Rhodes for the title, which, I mean, I would love, don't get me wrong, but again, that's something that's also a little too early for that. And Jacob's just saying basically the same stuff he's been trying to say, is just, I'm going to win the title, bring it back to the family that we shouldn't have lost. And Solo Sikoa comes out. Now, he doesn't come out. He just arrives to the arena, but he's back. And Jacob and Tamatanga don't really seem too happy that he's back. Like, they seem kind of annoyed. And we see this, like, a couple times throughout the night, mainly in this backstage segment where they finally find him and they're like, hey, what's going on? You haven't talked to us at all. And Solo basically just says, why? I had to take some time to kind of reevaluate everything. I had to think about everything. I had to process everything. And Jacob, I need you to win. I need you to bring back the title because I love you, Jacob. And just the way Jacob was looking at him, same with Tamatanga too. Like, they are not having any of Solo's leadership right now.
Yeah, it's a lot of manipulation there still. I mean, that's the only way. That's the only way you could really say it, because you have him coming back. You have this whole story being played out that, you know, that he's down in the dopes because he lost to Ulafala to Roman Reigns. And he had nowhere to go, so he had to take that little break from television. He came back. He said he feels like he's in the groove again. And then you have him pretty much doing the exact same thing before, where he's barking orders to Jacob Fatu and Tamatanga, where he's like, okay, you go ahead, you win this match, you go to the chamber, you win this thing, you beat Cody, and then you bring the title home. And you got to remember what Jacob Fatu said, which is why I mentioned to you earlier that I really like the character development that's going on with Jacob Fatu, because one of the very first things he said the following week after Solo left and he just threw his coat off and he just like walked out of the building, one of the things that he did say that he's off the leash now, so he's going to do what he wants. And obviously they're playing into that, especially with what we saw showcase, which we'll touch on in a little bit. So I just like how Jacob's coming to his senses. He doesn't have like that sort of syndrome that we normally see in WWE, where it's like, okay, you know, he's back. Let's repair everything that was broken before so we can be on the same page again. Like, he's actually taking things into account. He's actually understanding his surroundings and how everything is operating when it comes to Solo's inner motive, which is why I kind of feel like we might be turning Jacob Fatu babyface. And it might just be one of those things where he's just Jacob Fatu, just like kind of how Roman Reigns he's said to be a babyface, but he's literally just the exact same character he was before. But you saw the reaction from the crowd. They were chanting his name. He's over. And obviously that whole event that happened between him and Braun Strowman during the Saturday Night's main event really helped elevate him, because people were just in shock with that beating that he gave him. And I like how they're teasing a program with him and Cody. That's why I said down the line, if they really want to have him be the one to take the belt off of Cody, I wouldn't be opposed to it. And honestly, I could easily slot him into like a King of the Ring tournament winner as well. Exact same thing I said about Drew before. You could probably say the exact same thing about them, because they're not afraid to really strap the rocket, especially when it comes to people in the Samoan family. They're not really afraid to strap the rocket to certain people. So if they wanted to do that, they very well could. And I think a good amount of people within the community would have no issues at all whatsoever if a Drew or a Jacob Fatu took the belt off of Cody. But it's just nice planting seeds. Future program between him and Drew. Future program between him and Cody. A program that's actually, you know, just the both of them and no other parties involved. So I like that. I like how he was talking shit about Braun Strowman and Damian Priest. That was really nice. Just showing a lot out of his character.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm excited to see where we're going with things. I'm assuming, you know, for Mania that's where we're gonna get this Jacob Fatu versus Solo Sikoa match.
Yeah.
Which cool, awesome, and I kind of agree. Let's have
makes sense.
It does.
There's just kind of there's no other direction for him.
Yeah, and just kind of taking away that mantle from Solo, how he was the enforcer of the bloodline. It's like, nah, you've kind of lost a lot of face, not only just in some of your ring work. I mean, kayfabe, obviously, not saying Solo's, you know, gotten worse or anything. It's just, like, in realms of the story, it's like, okay, you've gotten worse in the ring because you keep losing, and, like, your overall just presence has diminished. So it's time for you to step aside. Let let somebody who actually is a force to be reckoned with take over from here. And yeah, just keep Jacob Fatu babyface because people are behind him and all that. You can do that tweener thing that you guys keep talking about with like people like Braun Breaker and all that, who you keep not using on TV, but that's neither here nor there with that part. Yeah, and I mean even Tama Tonga too is just kind of done with with Solo Sikoa's shit right now. Like even he's just kind of side eyeing Solo, like we don't need you, we don't want you. I mean, granted they kind of need the numbers because they've been on a losing streak as a group, but yeah, they're just kind of done with Solo. They're trying to build their own selves up to be the force that they know that they can be. Yeah, so I mean, this kind of bleeds into the main event that we had tonight, which was the triple threat match for the men's Elimination Chamber match with Damian Priest taking on Braun Strowman and Jacob Fatu. Now, this match is exactly what you think it's gonna be. It's three big guys just beating the ever loving crap out of each other. Whether it's big suplexing moves or eventually we do get some weapons involved and tables and chairs a little bit and everything. But it's really just like more of the storytelling in this match as well, because you had Solo and Tama Tonga come out to kind of help Jacob win, but it kind of backfires to the point where Solo actually gives a spike to Tama Tonga and Jacob kind of starts freaking out about it and gets taken out by Damian Priest. And luckily Cody comes in for the save as well to kind of take Solo out and everything. But yeah, we just a lot more storytelling, but I'm kind of getting tired of them finding the same way to get Jacob Fatu just out of a match, or because like it seems like every time, whether he's in like these multi-person matches, whether it's a tag match or like it is tonight with a triple threat, they're always just like throwing him into the ringside area, into like the timekeepers area and all that, and then he's just gone for the rest of the match. Like, can we do something a little bit more creative? Like, you could have had him go through the table that was right out there. I mean, there was an announce table right there. I mean, even if it's not going to break, you could have still done something with it or get an actual table out. I don't know. Like, again, that might just be nitpicky, but yeah, I mean, Damian Priest wins. Kind of figured he would go over here. Yeah, he's going on to the Elimination Chamber. I'm assuming he'll probably set up some program with somebody in that. I'm still, like, as much as reports say, I still think it's going to be him and Drew at Mania. No matter what anybody says about somebody's stock or anything, like, I think both men are elevated enough where they could have a good WrestleMania match with each other. And yeah, so talk to me. What did you think about this match overall, and just like some of the storytelling elements that we had going into it?
So I liked how within this match itself, we are revisiting the history that we had between Jacob and Braun Strowman already, which was a main talking point within the match, because there was a moment, especially towards the end of the match, where Jacob Fatu was repeating the exact same spots that he did at Saturday Night's main event to Braun Strowman until he got the edge, where he ended up reversing it on him. He was about to take him out. And then, of course, that's when Sol Sikoa came out of the blue. He ended up giving him a Samoan spike to the neck, and then everything pretty much took off from there. So I like how their rivalry is being played out throughout the match. I like how you have Priest up against like these two beasts within Braun Strowman and Jacob Fatu, so it almost looks like it's a tough battle for him to win. Because if you look at, both of those guys, they're not going to just get taken out by like one south of heaven. Like, you're going to have to do a lot more damage in order for something like that to happen. So I like the storytelling that was played out within the match. I like the spots outside of the ring, going a couple of table spots, throwing Priest over the table, because I already knew straight off the bat that Priest was going to win this match, But there's a part of me that wanted Fatu to win this match only because I wanted to see like how destructive he would be inside of a chamber match, because that's one of the things that I've been dying to see ever since he came into WWE, seeing how destructive he is in like a cage like match. If it's a steel cage match, Elimination Chamber, Hell in a Cell, I'm just very curious to see how he operates in those sort of matches. So there was a part of me that was really rooting for Jacob. I mean, I feel like throughout the match itself, that was who I was rooting for, but I knew it was going to be Damian Priest because of sort of build up that they had last week with this match. You had Priest talking all that shit about Drew, and I'll wait to see how things play out, because even though reports did say Priest and Drew could be the match, they're also saying that, you know, Cena's winning the chamber, this is happening, that's happening. So it's like, I'd rather just watch it and see what happens, because I'm gonna keep bringing it up. You know, the Royal Rumble was probably one of the most unpredictable Rumbles that I've remembered these past couple years, because when Cody has his thing going on, it made sense with the outcome of what sort of direction it was going down with that. But nobody was predicting Jey Uso. I mean, you would have to take a lie detector test to really prove that you actually thought that was happening. Nobody saw that coming. So it's like a lot, and now people are gonna say, "Oh, Cena's on the poster. Cena's gonna win." You don't know that.
That doesn't matter.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. He could be on the poster all he wants. He could even be on the WrestleMania 41 poster, where it's like Cena with his arms open, and you have like the rest of the guys and like this little earth spear looking thing. Like you could even add some crazy wild shit like that. That's not going to prove anything. So it's like, I'm going to see how things play out within that match. I mean, obviously you got a lot of key players in there. The only one we're really waiting for is between Seth and Finn. If I were to choose, I would say Finn, but at the same time, Seth Rollins just makes so much sense, and it's kind of hard to really leave somebody like that off the card, not doing anything, building up to the WrestleMania season. So I liked everything that played out throughout this. And yes, we are definitely building into Jacob Fatu versus Solo Sikoa, which I'm completely okay with, because you can't really leave Solo off the card, regardless how people feel about him when it comes to, oh my God, are they doing this angle with Cody again? What's going on here? It doesn't really look like anything's being set up with them, which is a good thing. That's why we had that little angle shot between him and Jacob Fatu. But it's like, there really isn't any other place, and you can't really leave him off the card. So Jacob Fatu versus Solo Sikoa, I would assume Jacob Fatu would go over in that match. I don't really see how it makes sense for Solo Sikoa to go over in that match, but that's probably going to be like a blood rivalry, or like one of those, what do you call it? Grudge feuds or whatever. So at least they're actually having, and at least, you know, we got a lot of story in there for the past months, and then you got more leading into it. So I am looking forward to it, to when it happens, and I definitely feel like once Jacob Fatu comes out of that match, they're really going to start pushing him next levels more than where he is right now, which I'm really looking forward to. But I did like that.
Yeah, I did too. And see, that I'm glad you brought up that unpredictability factor too, because like, hell, Damian Priest could freaking win the Elimination Chamber match.
Yeah.
And face Cody. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I mean, that's just that unpredictability factor, because like we've seen, you know, just in the couple weeks that Priest has been there, he's been thinking about that championship. He's been thinking about going after Cody. So that would be a shocker. I mean, it would be a shocker because of things that we all keep thinking are set up for it. But I mean, yeah, WWE's kind of in this state where they like to do all these surprises and these twists and turns, and whether they work out or not, I mean, only time will tell, from when they do the swerve to when we get to the payoff of that. So yeah, I mean, again, fine match, great storytelling throughout, you know, whether it was from promo work or just in-ring storytelling as well. Because, again, like, you had Priest and Jacob kind of teaming up at a few times to take out Braun. And, I mean, Braun was basically on his own for a lot of it. Yeah. So, and the fact that Priest was able to get him up, too, for, you know, I mean, a pseudo South of Heaven. Because, like, again, Braun's a pretty thick boy. But again, it just kind of shows just how strong Damian Priest is as an athlete, at least.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But from one Elimination Chamber qualifying match that we enjoyed to one that we kind of have some issues with, the women's side of things, where we had Women's United States Champion, and pledge your allegiance to Chelsea Green as much as you can, as long as she's holding that belt. She was taking on Naomi. Now, the match I thought was fine. Like, it was pretty good. A couple hiccups here and there, but like it was good throughout. But like it's just this constant thing, because we saw it on Monday. We complained about it on Monday, and guess what? We're gonna be kind of the same thing here. What are we doing with these women's mid-card titles? Like, they're not in any programs for the titles right now. Nobody's chasing them. They're put into these qualifying matches to possibly get a shot at a bigger title. Like, you're just burying these mid-card titles already. And I mean, I say bury, but like I'm trying not to be too dramatic with it, but at the same time, it's just like, what are you doing with these titles that you can't do outside of an elimination qualifier? Because you have some good talent in here. Hell, you released Isla Dawn last week. Where's Alba Fire at?
Yeah, no.
Why not use her? Like, I know she's not up the card that much, but I mean, you could still use her.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't get it. It's just that same argument of, what are we doing with these titles?
Yeah, that's my issue here, because it's like when we had that whole Lyra match on Monday, and like we had our little rant on there, discussing why we didn't think it was like a good decision. Like, we're not against a Lyra and Bailey match happening, because that's silly, and that's silly to complain about. But it's just the thing where you look at where it's like Lyra is a champion. If she wasn't a champion, I don't think I would really care as much. But she's the IC champion, so she needs to start representing her division on Monday Night Raw with the Intercontinental Championship, and she hasn't had any reigns yet. And it's not really a good look when you have, well, I get the whole thing, oh, if you lose, you still look good, sure. But at the same time, it's like she hasn't really done as much with that title. So just putting her in here just because she's one of the big names on your division, just to have her go up against Bailey and everything, I mean, I don't really know how I feel about that. It's not a good look, because we say on this show all the time, when you're a champion, you're supposed to be booked to look strong. Champions don't normally take losses unless it comes to a point where they're losing the title, where it makes sense. And that's the point where I'm okay with it. So it's like the whole thing with Lyra being in there with Bailey, it caught me off guard. And then we saw that Chelsea Green and Naomi was announced. And I'll admit, I guess there was a little part of me that thought they could have threw Chelsea the bone only because it was in Canada. But, they did the exact same thing here, where Naomi went over in the match. And again, you're trying to book your champion to look strong, but now you have her, losing this qualification match when there's other people, like Watkins said. Alba Fire, even though she's on Raw, it hasn't stopped you guys before from taking people from Raw and putting them on SmackDown. I mean, hell, you could even put one of the KC2 girls in a match if you really wanted to, because they're not opposed to doing that. They could have done something with Zoe Starks and Shayna Baszler.
Yeah.
They could have easily put somebody like that up against Bailey on Raw, just to eliminate them from the equation and just focus on their individual feuds. So it's like that's the sort of thing that I'm hoping beyond this. And I'm not going to say I'm going to give it an excuse, but I'm just hoping beyond this we get a better look at it. We see what people are saying online, because they obviously know what we're saying, which is why Mania plans have been moving around, because they noticed the sort of reaction that the community has had. So I'm hoping they take things in account and they understand that, we want these mid-card titles to mean something with Chelsea Green, which is a little bit more in her favor, but at the same time, we want them to just add more meaning with their reigns, put them into something that matters, because he even hyped it up. this is the next stage for the woman. This is a really big moment. You got a whole vignette on it. What are we doing here? Which is why me and Watkins said before that you need to have one title. Like, why is there two? Because even with that in mind, it kind of devalues it in a way, because now we know there's two. But you could bring up the argument, well, if there's two, then obviously there's more. They have a large women's division, so they have more than one title to go after. Sure. But at the same time, they just really need to sit down, think of a game plan, how they want to structure everything before they go out with it. But it was still an enjoyable match between Chelsea Green and Naomi. Naomi did go over within this match. And I know when we were live throughout the show tonight, I know Watkins put out a tweet on the brand account. Chelsea Green actually retweeted it. So shout out to Chelsea for that. The only reason why we speak this sort of things on here is because we really care about her as a character. We know what she's capable of. Yeah. And we just want her to see, shining colors. We just want her to see a lot of good things in her direction.
Exactly. So, and I think, it's at least a little bit more palatable for me with Chelsea losing, because again, it's kind of part of her character. It's just the fact that fine. You have both her and Lyra losing in the same week. Yep. That's where it starts that's where we start kind of feeling like, okay, what are we doing here? Because even on Monday, we weren't really expecting Chelsea to win this match either. No. Against Naomi. But I mean,
now you also have something potentially being set up where now that Naomi pinned her, that sort of rings the bell where it's like, oh, this could potentially be a title match Naomi could possibly get because she did pin the champion. Yeah. And WWE 101, you pin the champion, sort of get that shot at the titles. Just like how the whole Liv Morgan situation with her and Raquel going up against Bianca and Naomi too. So that just throws another wrench into a whole bunch of things too.
Yeah, and who knows if Naomi does get that shot, at least in the weeks leading up to Mania, who's to say a returning Jade Cargill can't screw that up for her?
Which is interesting to bring that up.
Oh, very interesting, because after, a month or two of no Jade Cargill update, we finally get an update because, hey, everybody, GM Nick Aldis finally got a tip, an anonymous tip from somebody who apparently on their cell phone, which, kudos to them for recording horizontal for this.
I was caught off guard when that segment started because they said, let's roll the clip. And you had to wait a good 10 seconds to see it. So I was really confused what was going on.
They were not ready for that cue at all. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the audio started playing too.
Someone's probably picking their nose backstage. Started.
Yeah. Yeah, what is this? Kevin Dunn with his big teeth getting in the way? What's going on here? That was me. I'm sorry about that, but I blame freaking Ross from Cultaholic for all that, because whenever he was a short little tangent here, whenever he did his WTF moments for things, and there was always a production issue, it would always be a little joke about Kevin Dunn that always started with the Imperial March saying dun 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 dun, and he'd have some joke about how Kevin, one of Kevin Dunn's teeth would jump out of his mouth and press a button that made some production error go off. I don't know, things like that. But yeah, we basically get this quote unquote phone footage of when Jade Cargill was attacked. Now the attack. Well, the footage shows when the ambulance showed up and when they were putting Jade in there. So it wasn't the actual attack. It was what would you say, 5-10 minutes after your attack? Because I remember that night
when they ran out and they had the ambulance and everything. You didn't really get anything.
Yeah, because I think we saw Bailey run out too. Because she was there. Because it was the U.S. title qualifiers and all that, that tournament going on. And, Jade was already taken out from the inside of the building. And then the footage shows Liv and Raquel walking from the outside of the building, going in. So, the internet's going up on a storm, being like, "Oh, it was Liv and Raquel. We're really going to do this, blah blah blah." But like, I think me and you are both in the camp where this is a red herring.
Yeah, it's an obvious red herring, which is why I'm so flabbergasted, like the way that the community like takes things. Like, I'm sorry to come off as a dick when I say this, but it just shows how simple-minded people are, where they look at one thing and they take it as a fact, where it's like, oh my god, that's it? It's almost like, have you read a book? Have you played a video game? Have you watched a movie?
Yeah.
It's like, you see things like this play out all the time, and it just builds to a better plot line down the line, where it's the whole point of red herring, where it's like, you look into something being shown to you at that moment, and then all of a sudden it hits you across the face, where you're like, holy shit, that's actually what happened. I didn't expect that. They caught me off guard. That's what they're trying to do. Because in that moment itself, you know, they had a lot of shit going on at Liv and Raquel, because you just saw them walking away. And that just seems like too simplistic, where it's like, oh yeah, it's Liv and Raquel, you know, they were beefing around Survivor Series time, you know, all that kind of shit. So it's like, and oh yeah, you know, they have a title opportunity against us, so they could be trying to do this kind of stuff. So it's like, it's not that simple. That's why it's so hard for me to like wrap my head around it, where it's like, why do you think that's it? And there's people that actually think that's it. And I'm glad there's people like us and, you know, stuff like JD and Solomonster and other people, where it's like, yeah, that's the reveal, all right, because they obviously know it's a red herring, and it's going to be something completely different, because, you know, like we discussed, it was just the ambulance scene where you saw Jade being carried to the ambulance and everything. You saw Naomi there, Bianca, Bailey, and you just saw Liv and Raquel walking away. Yeah. And I even saw somebody bring up where they're like, something that Liv said, where like, oh, we're not going to be that stupid and just, you know, do something like that and just walk away, or we're not going to have someone attack us and just, you know, walk away from it, because, you know, Liv and Raquel, they like getting rough. And I hate to say it, but you got to pay attention to how these characters operate within the company. Liv and Raquel are very upfront. If they've done something, when it comes to taking somebody out or whatever, they'll rub it all into their face. Like when they took out Rhea that one time.
Yes,
they rubbed it in their face. They bragged about it. She came out on that Monday Night Raw. She talked a lot of shit. If that was if that was a legit thing that they did, they would have been like, yeah, we did it. That's what we do. They don't hide that kind of stuff, which is another thing. That's like, you really don't pay attention to character writing within the company, because if you know how a certain character is structured, you know the sort of mindset, like you know, like the whole thought, all the thoughts that are running through their head. Like, okay, if Carmelo Hayes went up and did something, we would know that's him because this is what he does. Or we know how our truth is when he does all these funny jokes, because that's just how his character is presented to us. So it just blows my mind.
Yeah, and like, and these are the same people that are going on and on and on about like, oh, story this, story that. It's just like, okay, great, you have story, now pay the frick attention to not only the story but the characters that you have in here. You know, like, it's one thing to speculate some things, sure, fine, whatever, but like, don't just stick to that agenda that you have, you know? Again, unless it's, you know, I mean, we're still technically under the Chelsea Green thing, so, you know, unless it's, you know, the agenda of pledging allegiance to, you know, our U.S. champion Chelsea Green, but that's, you know, besides the point. It's like,
that's another one that would brag
use your
about
brains,
it.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, her and Piper would be gloating about it. Like, that's why, and like, Naomi too, like, I feel like she also kind of took her, not took herself out, but like kind of squealed on herself too, because like she made the comment, oh yeah, people keep blaming me for it, keep, you know, saying I did it and all that. It's just like, well, maybe it's because you did maybe do it. Like, maybe that's it, you know. You're mentioning it, like, you're so quick to say, oh, people are blaming me, blah blah blah, like trying to play all innocent. Nah, I ain't falling for it at all.
Yeah, because I know she did that when it initially happened. She was online, you know, saying all that, responding to people, saying, it's not me, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. And I'm kind of hoping they are playing into that, because that's
I hope
also
so
a,
too.
a part of the things that falls into a good red herring, where you see that whole situation play out with the Liv and Raquel walking away. You have Naomi coming out. It's not me. I didn't do this. I didn't do that, because that's what she wants you to believe. So when she says that sort of thing, you're hooked on it. You're like, okay, that's the culprit. But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's Bianca. Oh, she'll never turn
Yeah.
heel. She's like the super sweet baby face, or whatever. But it's kind of like you gotta eventually play into that story between her and Jade. The story isn't really Naomi and Jade. The story is really Bianca and Jade. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where I'm expecting the red herring to be, is Bianca. If it happens to be the both of them, congratulations. You got some new heels that you could really work into the women's division, which would be really nice. But I'm kind of
Yeah.
hoping that it's possibly Bianca.
Yeah, I'm hoping so too.
It
So
also looks like the same
hope
position that you lay out in a KOD anyway. I don't know how Naomi just
exactly.
does the rear view and she gets laid out like that.
Yeah, unless she just kind of pushed her, but I mean, even still, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. So hopefully we get another update next week,
Mm.
or possibly after the chamber and all that.
Yeah.
Again, hopefully and all that. But we're gonna stick with our women here because we had a WWE Women's Title match. We had Tiffany Stratton taking on Nia Jax, which okay, there's a few things that go through with this match. First of all, we had a quick little backstage thing where Nia's getting ready and Alexa Bliss shows up, who, she has some history with Nia Jax. And
Yep.
she's just saying, how fun it would be to have a WrestleMania rematch with each other. And she's wishing Nia good luck and to have fun in her match and all that. And I mean, Nia kind of throws some shade about, being betrayed by Alexa back in the day. But another thing to kind of mention too with this is like we started getting the Wyatt glitches and all that. So like there's a part of me that like I don't want to fully say that Alexa's fully aligned with the Wyatts, but it wouldn't surprise me in a way because like I guess it's just the way she was talking to Nia and just the timing of the glitches and all that. I don't know. It felt like Alexa was. I mean, take how I say this with a grain of salt or however you want to take it. It was almost like Alexa was controlling that glitch for
Yeah.
that segment. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is setting up for what all those women are going to be doing for Mania. Because I mean, throw Nikki Cross in there, you could just have a tag team match, play, holla holla. So I don't know. Did you think anything of this segment?
I liked that little mention of their history because I do remember a lot
Mm-hmm.
of it, because I grew up in like the 2016 era where a lot of these people I see now, like Charlotte, Becky, Bailey, and all of them, Sasha Banks when she was still in the company, um,
Yeah.
these were my people that I saw. Like I was like a young kid when Trish and all of them were coming out, so I didn't really get to
Mm-hmm.
experience that like some other people did. But these are pretty much, the people that I grew up watching, especially when the Divas Championship was still a thing. So it's like, getting some mention of Alexa Bliss when she was the goddess, the Nia Jax,
Mm-hmm.
looking at their history with one another. I liked how that was brought up. And it's funny how Nia mentions betrayal from Alexa Bliss, because I
Yeah.
just saw a clip online where you had Alexa Bliss on her shoulders. They were celebrating because she had a championship win. And then Nia just stood in her
Mm-hmm.
tracks and just dropped Alexa Bliss right there. And the only reason why
Yeah.
that whole entire feud ignited to the next level and she ended up going after Nia Jax is because of what she did in that very moment. Nia
Mm-hmm.
Jax was the catalyst that really made Alexa Bliss do what she did, outside of like the whole Money in the Bank thing. So it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, you gotta like fact check yourself when it comes to that stuff. I'm just saying, but I
Mm-hmm.
definitely do feel like she definitely is in control of that, a lot of that stuff, because we did see it
Yeah.
during that one segment backstage, which is obviously going to play into something. I know people are probably decoding it online. I haven't seen it yet, but
Oh yeah.
I am definitely expecting us to see something eventually when they figure out the sort of creative plans with that. But that was nice to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I agree too. Like I like how they're playing upon their history and all that, and because I mean they had a couple moments of their rivalry because there was also the WrestleMania one where it's like, oh, Alexa Bliss is being the big bad bully to this
Oh yeah.
now babyface Nia Jax. It was just kind of weird for them to try to have us cheer Nia Jax to the point, but I don't know, that part of the feud really just didn't sit too well, at least with me. But yeah, cool that we're planting seeds, seeing where we're going with that in the future. But yeah, on to the match itself. Like I thought this match was really good between Tiffany and Nia. I mean, it's kind of your typical David versus Goliath match, but Tiffany really showed out here. Like she hit 2 of those spine busters of hers on Nia Jax. That was impressive. Like
Yeah, that was really
just
nice.
from both angles. Like not only just from like the strength of Tiffany to do that, but the fact that Nia was able to like kind of elevate herself to get to that height for Tiffany to hit those moves. And I mean, Tiffany would have gone over clean as a whistle in this match, and she should have gone over clean as a whistle in this match. But then we end this match in a DQ finish. And this just felt like Vince McMahon writing here. Because it's like you have this awesome match on free TV. Great match. Somebody's about to freaking pull out a good, clean win. And all of a sudden, a DQ finish. Like, yeah.
I didn't understand why they did the DQ finish, because they could have still played out the exact same segment that they were trying to do after the match, where Tiffany could have won the match. Nia could have been all pissed off, attacked her. Candice could have done something. Then you could have Trish come in for the save, and then have Trish get attacked, and you can still have Tiffany laid out in that position, and then have Charlotte come out. You could have still done everything outside of that DQ finish, which I didn't understand. And you could have still had that potential, and you could still have had that a potential match between, Tiffany and Trish against Candice LeRae and Nia Jax at Elimination Chamber, where Nia's like, okay, we're going to wrap this up right here. You could have easily had everything out there outside of that DQ finish, because normally, oh shit, somebody got a clean win over me. I'm pissed off. I want to take out my frustration on them.
Yeah.
You could have easily done it. I don't understand that. I wasn't that fan of it. I don't think it hurt them in any way, but still, it just felt like a little extra to really throw that in there for no reason. But yeah, this was a great women's title match between the both of them. Something I was looking forward to. Something I was hoping they would go to before Tiffany gets Charlotte at Mania, which, trust me, I do have some thoughts on that. Be sure to look forward to that. But it's like, this is something I was expecting us to, definitely dive into, and I just felt like they could have still played out the same thing, like I said. But yeah, it seems like we're getting a tag match between Tiffany and Trish against Nia Jax and Candice LeRae at the Elimination Chamber, which is cool. Not opposed to it. I've always been a fan of Trish. Want to tag with Tiffy, which again, you got a rub from Trish, a legend in the business, working alongside her. Tiffany seemed excited about it. You can give her like a feel good moment with Trish over there, so that's nice.
Yeah. Sorry, my AirPods like disconnected from here, but I could still hear you and all that, but I don't know what the heck happened here, so I'm just gonna keep working on fixing that. But yeah, it's gonna be Trishy time at Elimination Chamber. I'm looking forward to the match. I think it'll be good.
Oh yeah,
Just finish to the Nia Jax Tiffany Stratton match. All right.
Yeah, I agree.
There we go. I don't know why my AirPods just disconnected from my laptop, but that's neither here nor there because, hey, Charlotte is now coming out. She lays down the challenge for Tiffany, says, hey, I'll see you at WrestleMania. So it's finally decided. We're going to get Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania 41. And if you guys are, long-standing subscribers of here, you know this already. But for anybody new here, we have been adamant about the fact that Tiffany Stratton should go over Charlotte. There is no reason for Charlotte to win at Mania just to win another title. There's absolutely no reason for that. You have the best opportunity to build this new star. Tonight was a great start for her on the main roster. I mean, I say great start. She's been on the main roster for a year, but it's mainly just like in that championship sphere, like in that main event circle of the women's division. Like, this was a good showing for Tiffany Stratton. Keep that forward momentum going, because she is a big star. She could be bigger than freaking Mercedes. I'm gonna freaking say that right now, especially current Mercedes. But whatever, the people can take that with what it will. But yeah, I mean, you gotta have her go over Charlotte, and I'm kind of worried about Charlotte right now. Like, I don't know, she looks like she's gonna break. Like, I get she was wearing heels tonight, but just, I don't know if you noticed how slow she was getting into the ring tonight, and how like slowly she sat down and all that. Like, I don't know.
I thought it was what she. I thought it
health.
was what she was wearing.
Okay,
that's what I thought. I noticed she was holding up that little whatever that was, her like pants, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if it was like I don't know if it was loose or whatever. That's what I noticed.
Well, like that's what I'm getting at. It's just like, I mean, I don't mean to talk on somebody's figure or anything, but like, it's more of just like worry, because I mean, she just, I don't know, something just doesn't seem right with Charlotte. So I'm hoping everything's fine on her end, because because you also saw this at the Royal Rumble too. Like, people were pointing out that Charlotte really wasn't doing much at the Rumble.
No.
So yeah, I'm just hoping she's fine. But yeah, again, we get this confirmed now: Tiffany versus Charlotte. How are you thinking about this?
I mean, it was to be expected, so I'm not surprised. I'm glad that they laid it out here instead of prolonging it. So it was nice to get that official confirmation. And again, like the way that they presented Tiffany tonight when it came to all of those shenanigans that played out post-match, of Nia attacking her, laying her and Trish out, and then having Charlotte grab the chair, sitting alongside her, teasing her to get up, and saying that the Queen chooses you at WrestleMania. I mean, come on. You can't build Tiffany up this way, because this is almost reminding me of, like, I'm not saying it's at the same scale, but this is almost reminding me like how they were doing Cody Rhodes last year at WrestleMania, where they kept beating him down over and over and over again to make him look like he didn't stand a chance of doing what he didn't stand a chance to, like, getting that shot at Roman, and especially with The Rock involved. Like, again, don't take this in a way where I'm comparing that storyline to this one, but it's just one of those things we see in WWE. I'll put it that way, where it's like you get the babyface constantly knocked down on their feet. It's hard for me to really look at Tiffany in this position where, she's getting taken out by Nia and Candice. She's laid out there. She can't get up, and Charlotte just comes out there and sits in front of her. It's really hard for me to look at it where it's like, oh yeah, Charlotte's going to go over in this match, because we obviously have reported on our channel. They've been paying attention to a lot of the discourse online when it comes to the potential matches we're getting. People are vocal about Drew. They're going to potentially pivot from Drew, which, I mean, hey, he does deserve to get a great match. So whatever they come up with, it's obviously known within the community that they want to make sure that they're pleasing their audience when it comes to something that a lot of the people can agree on. And this is another thing. There's a lot of people that are in agreement that Tiffany should go over in this match. And again, people are going to bring up the argument. I wouldn't be surprised if it's brought up on one of our videos one day, even when we do cover both shows for WrestleMania, where people are going to be like, oh, drop, Watkins, Vash. You gotta take it this way. Tiffany could still lose the match and still elevate herself as a competitor. Of course, we get that. But this is the point where Charlotte needs to put everything to the side make her feel like she's Tiffany's kryptonite and just put her in a position where Tiffany like really needs to put herself out there, have the crowd get behind her so she can get that big victory behind her belt. Because I don't see if you do an angle where Charlotte wins, you have Tiffany go on a chase. I don't really see the point of that. Like, why are we doing a chase with Tiffany? It doesn't make any sense. The whole chase right now is to proving that she could be up there with a Charlotte Flair one day and Becky Lynch and Bayley and all of them. This is the ultimate test. Like, this is Tiffany's final boss right here. This is somebody that she can go up against and be like, okay, I beat Charlotte Flair. This is a big name under my belt. They gave Cora Jade Bayley on Tuesday. That's the biggest win of her career because Bayley's a future Hall of Famer. Bayley put over Cora Jade to really help build up that generation. You can't just build Tiffany like this and still have Charlotte go over because I don't see the point. And I noticed one of our people on our Discord server, they brought up a good point. I believe it was Alyssa, where she was like, you can give Jay his moment. He can have a feel-good moment, win the belt and everything, because that's what we're expecting. You don't have to have both Rumble winners heading in there, coming out with gold. And you could even tell an even bigger story with Charlotte down the line, getting too cocky. She even said in her promos where she's like, I came back to win the Royal Rumble match because I know that was the right way to do it. It's almost like you're putting yourself in this position where it's like, okay, you're getting all these handouts and everything. You're trying to build yourself as the queen because that's what her character is, to be this person who gets whatever she wants. You got to have somebody swoop in there and actually take the crown away so the queen isn't as powerful as she once was. That's why I want to see play out. That's why I feel like would make a better story is this whole, if you want to put a chase with Tiffany here, that's your chase with Tiffany, not post-Mania of getting the belt back. This is your chase with Tiffany, proving that she can be up there with the big leagues one day and get a big name under her belt because she doesn't have any yet. Like, sure, she's pinned Bayley before. That's a big name under her belt, but Charlotte's like one of the big ones. Look at what it did with Rhea Ripley. Look at what it did with Bianca when she had that match with Sasha Banks back in WrestleMania 37. That did wonders for her career. You need to put Tiffany over. And it's nothing against Charlotte, but you need to put her over. It's just, imagine we're looking at like the whole video package and Tiffany still presented the way she is leading up to Mania. It's kind of hard to really look at it where it's like, oh yeah, you can lose.
Yeah. And like the whole thing with like, looking good when you lose and all that. We've done that already with Tiffany when she faced off against Becky. Like that was the whole Becky feud.
Yeah.
That was the reason Becky feuded with her and why she went over. Because it's like, she went over on Tiffany, but it also kind of helped Tiffany get to another level. Because like ever since that Becky match, people were already kind of behind Tiffany at that point, but after that Becky match, they really started like pushing for her, and then she got into the main roster. She won Money in the Bank during her first year in the main roster, and with that came winning the title. And that, like you were saying, that is the story. She won the title from Money in the Bank, which is kind of your cheat code to getting a main title. And now one of her earliest contenders for said title is a former 14-time world champion. Like, you've got some big shoes to fill, and you've got a huge challenge awaiting for you at Mania. And that's the story going into it. That is the tantalizing story with it. And I know there was one guy in my group chat who thought that Charlotte was he legitimately thought that Charlotte was going to choose Rhea and we were going to get Rhea Charlotte 3. And I mean, I straight up told him, I was just like, I mean, not yet. Like that story's not yet. That's not where this story was all going when she won the Rumble. Like, it was her seeing who's ready to face her on her level. And Charlotte had chosen Tiffany. And whether that's because Charlotte sees something in Tiffany or it's the fact that maybe she sees an easy win for herself, tying into, again, the story you were telling of like how she gets overconfident and all that. Because like we've seen Charlotte do that before in the past, from what I can kind of recall in my memory. I mean, at least like the emotion of feeling that and everything. So yeah, no, this is the route we're going, that we kind of knew we were going to go with Charlotte and Tiffany. It's just Tiffany's got to go over. That's just the bottom line of it. Yeah, but I am curious. I'm looking forward to seeing how we build to that match. So that's one thing that's really got me excited. So we're going to go ahead and move on. We're going to transition now. We got some other stories, some other matches to kind of talk about. We had a tag team match between Motor City Machine Guns and Los Garza. Now, both teams obviously very good. A little bit of beef because they both want a tag team title shot. But the tag team titles right now, especially on SmackDown, I don't know where we're going with this, because so next week we have Pretty Deadly taking on DIY for the titles, like, because they earned that right last week. The match is happening next week on the Go Home SmackDown for Elimination Chamber, so there's that wonderful chestnut again. But because I had always said, oh yeah, Pretty Deadly gonna win them at Mania, but maybe that's not the Mania match, because like we keep getting vignettes of the Street Profits saying they're coming back soon and they're gonna run roughshod on the tag division and all that. But yeah, I mean, again, Motor City Machine Guns pick up the win, they get the forward momentum going, but where do you see the tag division going from here? Because I mean, again, we got. There's so many different avenues, so many different ways. Is this just going to lead to what we saw, I mean, last year or, in years prior, where it's just a big, like, tag team ladder match or multi-man match or something? Like, I don't know where we're going with the tag division.
Yeah, I'm honestly hoping it's something with the Street Profits, because I feel like that's really the story here, DIY and the Street Profits. Because at first I was saying, oh, maybe it is Pretty Deadly taking the titles off of them, because it seems like they're trying to have them have some sort of story where like the audience feels sympathy for them, because DIY was telling them to do all these different kinds of things for them. And I felt like it was playing into that, where it's like, okay, maybe they're the ones to dethrone them. But this is the second week where we had this vignette with the Street Profits really hyping himself up. So to me, it's like, it feels like the story is really them. Looking at what happened at the Royal Rumble, they came back, they attacked not just Motor City Machine Guns, but they also attacked DIY as well. So they're out for blood. They want their revenge. They want their titles. And also, they've been telling a story too, where it's like, it's been like a good 3 to 4 years since we've been tag team champions. So that seems like the bigger story to me. So whatever's going on between Motor City Machine Guns and Los Garza and Pretty Deadly, I just feel like, this is just Motor City Machine Guns getting momentum, heading into that match again with DIY, and then that's where I feel like it's gonna transition into the Street Profits coming out. So you could potentially get like some sort of triple threat tag match or whatever sort of rules that they want to play for that match to really help it stand out. I don't know if I personally want to see like a ladder match again, because I don't want that to feel like overplayed, because we got that at last year's Mania. I don't really think that should be like the decision right away, where it's like, oh, we got all these tag team together, we want to get them on the card, let's do a tag match. Like, no, the story doesn't always have to call for it. And just like how we said again, when it comes to like a lot of these decisions we're making with these multi-people matches, if it makes sense, do it, because you could easily tie it into Motor City Machine Guns, Pretty Deadly, and not Pretty Deadly, Motor City Machine Guns, DIY, and Street Profits, because it centers around the three of them. So it's like, if the story calls for it, sure, but I'm just hoping there's like some sort of game plan here. Maybe I could be wrong.
Yeah.
And it's something completely different, because it was up to me. I just do DIY and Street Profits because I feel like Motor City Machine Guns, I mean, they had their chance to really get it back at the titles. So, I mean, the beef really falls between them now that I think about it. So, just, you could easily just do a match between the both of them. And I'm not sure how they're going to prolong it until Mania. Or, I mean, for all we know, it could be a random match on SmackDown because they tend to do that quite a lot before pay-per-view. Oh, here's the US title. Here's a tag title before the pay-per-view. So, we're lucky enough to get it on Royal Rumble this year. We probably won't see it again until WrestleMania, which I wasn't really expecting it to be at Elimination Chamber, but yeah.
I mean, I wasn't either, but like again, you could just throw it on there. That would have been fine and all that. I don't know. I don't know what we're doing with all that. Sorry, something happened with the notes, and it's just like it like completely pasted everything like all at once, and like I'm on my iPad doing it, so it's just like, come on, people. But yeah, I don't know what direction we're going at in our tag division. It's really weird right now, but yeah, hopefully we kind of get a clear picture as we go towards Mania. Again, I'm kind of in the same line where it's got to kind of deal with the Street Profits because just like what they said, they haven't had the titles in almost 5 years, and you can kind of understand their frustration behind that. So let's go Street Profits all the way. Okay, so we had an impromptu match here with Miz versus LA Knight. Now this was set up because Shinsuke Nakamura is finally here with his U.S. title. He's trying to look for his next opponent. He's trying to see who, like, because we've seen him, like, lurking in the shadows and all that, like, looking at different people, like Jimmy Uso and all them. But he's trying to see who is going to be the one to face him again. Who's worthy enough to face him for the U.S. title? LA Knight comes out and basically tries to run down Shinsuke Nakamura, trying to get his own title match back. And I love the timing too for the Miz to come out, because LA Knight's just like, I'm gonna remind everybody whose house it is, with everybody saying this is awesome, like, I came to play, like Miz's music just starts hitting and all that. And man, the back and forth between Knight and Miz, it was really good. It was really good. Mainly, I like the part, and some people will probably call it cringe, but it's the fact that the Miz starts doing this fake crying bit, and he's just like, oh, it's okay for me to cry. So I guess we're playing off on that. I don't understand what we're doing with that either. Because it was a good message that LA Knight brought out, but now we're tying it into some stories and all that, just so LA Knight can say, it can get to that, but to a point. You don't want to go too far over, because then you end up like a little crybaby wimp, and it's like, okay, well, what's the message that we're actually trying to get across? Is it just like to stop fully crying, or just like, it's okay to be emotional, just don't show it all the time? I don't know, man. It's kind of a weird backwards way of just kind of getting a message across, but that might just be me though. But what do you think about this promo segment that we had at first?
I thought it was fun between the both of them because they're both very good mic workers, so I didn't really have any issues here. My main issue is like the whole US title picture. That's what it really stems from. Not much of the whole back and forth between Miz and Knight, like I said. Because like Shinsuke Nakamura even said when he came out, he's been waiting for like around a month for a challenger. That's pretty like weird that, you're trying to rebuild this character. You want him to be taken seriously. You see Triple H doing these videos that he posts on X, showing how he creates all these entrances backstage, how he wants Nakamura to come out, how he wants the lighting and everything to be. Shinsuke Nakamura was somebody that came from NXT, that was a superstar over there, and we thought things were going to really be set in stone after the whole thing of AJ, and that ended up going south. And he's honestly hasn't really been the same person, ever since that match. It is pretty crazy. That's like back in 2018 when he won the Rumble the same time Asuka did. So it's like, with this new presentation we're getting, I'm like, okay, this is good. A lot of people really like how he comes out, takes his time with it. Very good presentation. I appreciate what Triple H was doing. But going over a month without having a contender for your title, It's a little
Yeah.
worrisome. And then you're throwing in the same people outside of Miz because he's new to SmackDown. But you have LA Knight going after U.S. title again. I'm going to come out and say this right now. Why do we need this? Oh, by the way, spoiler alert. They did put on a pretty good match between the both of them, but LA Knight did get the victory in this one. But again, why is LA Knight still in the U.S. title picture? Because he won the title from Logan Paul. He had it for a little bit. He had that match with Shinsuke Nakamura. He lost it. They ended up doing something again. He ended up losing that opportunity too. Why is this only the creative pitch for LA Knight at this moment when it comes to him just going after the U.S. title scene? We get it. Cody has a title. It makes sense. But you could have easily, and I'm hoping they do this post-Chamber because I don't expect Drew to win it, but I'm hoping they could do like a little feud between the both of them, play off that whole backstage shenanigans that happened and actually create that into a compelling story if they possibly want to do that at WrestleMania, or just have a little program in the meantime, just going back and forth with each other on SmackDown to kind of separate him. Because Jimmy Uso is like the perfect guy, I would honestly say, that could really be put into that position where he could potentially be somebody to dethrone Nakamura and take that title. A lot of people are even saying, damn, that would be pretty cool. You maybe have a match between Jimmy and Shinsuke at WrestleMania if Shinsuke has the title for that long, and then you possibly have a moment where Jimmy has U.S. title, Jay has the World Heavyweight Championship, they're celebrating, stuff like that. Maybe Jimmy comes out after Jay's match and they celebrate and they hug, confetti everywhere, kind of recreating that moment with Eddie and Benoit all those years ago. So it's like, you got these other guys. I mean, and a lot of people in agreement, and I've seen it from a lot of people, throw Jimmy into the picture now, which is, I was honestly expecting him to interrupt this segment because now that he lost his opportunity to be in the Elimination Chamber, I saw Miz come out there to interrupt him. I saw LA Knight come out there. So there's a part of me thinking, oh, is Jimmy going to come out next? But you just had that whole thing with Drew where he just super kicked him in the back. So it's like, what are we doing here? Like Shinsuke and LA Knight again? I'm not sure if I really care. And that's why that's why I was like really pushing LA Knight to possibly be a part of this transfer window to move on to Raw, just like how they're doing at AJ. AJ did everything he possibly could on SmackDown. LA Knight, ever since he came out to the main roster from NXT, he's been a SmackDown guy ever since. He has not touched Raw at all. So that's why I was kind of hoping he would go over there, have a new playground to play in with all these different kinds of people that he never had programs with. You could have easily had LA Knight to start. I'm not saying it has to happen now, but just throwing a couple of names out there. LA Knight doing something with Gunther. LA Knight doing something with Seth Rollins. LA Knight doing something with CM Punk. LA Knight doing something with the Sami Zayn. LA Knight doing something with Finn Balor. You know, you get what I'm trying to say. There's just a lot of different people on there that he's never had any sort of contact with, even him and Braun Breaker. You could have, there's just a lot of other people on there that you could easily just stick them into something. I just don't know what's going on with LA Knight. Like that's my biggest complaint, because I care about the guy. I definitely feel like he will be inserted in the main event picture and hopefully stay there and just feud with top guys. And I could easily see him winning like a world heavyweight championship down the line. I'm not saying it's impossible. I could definitely see it, but I'm just wondering, it's like, you don't know what you're doing for him, so you're just putting him back at the starting line again for this title. Like, what's going on? And even in that segment that he was saying about the U.S. championship, and it's in his character to say this too, but it's almost like, it kind of reminded me of Roman in a way, just talking about the world heavyweight title. Where the whole thing at LA Knight is like, oh, that title needs me more than I need the title. So it's kind of like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, because he mentioned, just in the past few months, how many times, he mentioned, oh, the guy I beat it from barely defended it. The guy who took it from me barely defended it. He was bigging up how good of a champion he was. Because, he defended it a lot more than both of them almost combined, really. And what we only put the U.S. title on Nakamura, because he was going to Noah for that match that he had. Like, what was
Yeah.
that really the only reason? And if that was the only reason, okay, great, take it off of him now, because he's really not doing too much
No.
with it. You know, it'd be one thing if he was having like open challenges or something, but he's barely doing that. Like, he barely has a challenger. It's just like with Braun Breaker. Like, what? Just again, it's the name of the theme with WWE right now is, what are we doing? You know, like, we have all these mid card titles that we don't really have
Ugh.
much of a direction
Yeah.
towards. Like, the one direction we have is eventually Sheamus is going to win that IC title, but he keeps losing the Braun Breaker. So it's like, well, what's the point there? Until Braun Breaker actually loses that title, then Sheamus can't get it. Like, he's
Yeah,
not going to
no.
be able to get it.
Yeah.
And even if they do try to build up for WrestleMania, I don't know if I want to see that again. Like, don't get me wrong, they put on really good matches, but like, I don't know. It's the same. It's the same thing with like Jey Uso going against Gunther with Sheamus right now with the IC title. It's like, okay, yes, it'll be a fine match, but do I really want to see it again with a possible same outcome? You know,
Yeah.
that's why like Braun Breaker versus AJ Styles is tantalizing, because we haven't gotten that before, and AJ can get a damn good match out of Braun Breaker. And again, Braun Breaker needs to be on TV. All your mid card champions need to be on TV
Yeah.
doing something that isn't just being part of some tournament for another title. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, no.
Come on. Just showcase them more in their divisions and all that. Man. But yeah, again, like, the match was fun. Like, the match was really good. They gave them some time to work with, surprisingly. Like, you would think a match like that would maybe have one commercial break at the beginning of it like it did, but no, it had a couple of them tonight. So yeah, they put on a really good show and all that. Again, promo work was there for both of them. They're both professionals. It's just really good work from all of them.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, again, LA Knight wins. I guess he's going to be the number one contender. He's got the momentum going, and we know how WWE loves their momentum and all that. If only there was a momentum championship that somebody could win, and they could go on and excel in bigger and higher places. But we do have a couple quickfire segments here that we'll throw out. The first one actually being another match that didn't really last too long. We had Carmelo Hayes taking on R-Truth. This was set up because I guess Carmelo Hayes was getting his hair done, and Truth got very confused about the fact that he thought that Carmelo was calling himself him, referring to Tozawa and all that. And I mean, it was just a bunch of confusion. Either way, Carmelo Hayes won. I'm assuming this is just like what Carmelo's going to be doing for a bit. Is just facing these comedy people, these comedy wrestlers and all that. Cool. Build his stock back up again. I want more for him too.
Yeah. I mean, I'm
desperately.
Okay. I mean, I'm okay with it because I feel like since the way that they're
Mhm.
treating him, I sort of feel like it's just him working up the ranks where he's starting off with guys like that. And then as he starts going up a little bit more, he'll start getting those upper card guys, you know, people that you really want to see him in the ring with. That's like, you know, television that you really want to see. Not throwing any shade at Taizawa or R-Truth, but, you know, possibly like getting those matches we really want to see Carmelo in. I just feel like this is just him, okay, going through Taizawa, and then you have him going through R-Truth, and then whoever comes up next. So I feel like this is finally the push that we're getting with Carmelo Hayes, because it definitely seems like that's the sort of direction that it's going with that, which I'm okay with. So I definitely expect things to be better with him. I would say post Mania, possibly, unless they have LA Knight win this title, and then maybe you have him and Hayes at Mania, and then maybe Hayes takes the title there, and then he could carry that momentum. But I don't know yet. I'll say post Mania as of now until we get any clear direction with that. But at least things are better than it was prior. I'll just say that much.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like Carmelo's now in that grinding stage where okay, we've knocked it down a lot. It's time for you to grind some of those levels, and you got to fight some slimes before you fight the
Yeah.
dragon and all that. So that's just how RPGs go anymore, folks.
Mm-hmm.
And then our other segment here. So we had a couple video, not video package, but like just maybe like phone video promos, interviews with KO and Sammy, just kind of with the fallout from Kevin doing the Packers pile driver and all that. Sammy kind of selling the whole neck nerve damage thing. And one big takeaway I took from Sammy's video is the fact that he barely referenced helping Roman or going back to Roman. And he keeps thinking, like, in my mind, how I'm interpreting it is he keeps thinking that Kevin attacked him because he didn't help him win the title, which, I mean, that's part of it, sure. But that's like only maybe 5% of it, 10% of it, if that. The rest of it comes from you, Sammy, going back to Roman and helping him. Like, that's where all the crux is with it. And the fact that Sammy didn't even reference any of that, it's like, okay, does your character not have that kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Awareness to what's going on? Like, are you just blind? Like, are you just a blind goody two shoe now? Like, come on, we know our baby faces to be a lot smarter than this.
Yeah, especially
so.
I definitely feel like that stuff will probably get brought up whenever they do come face to face. So you get another thing from Sami Zayn or Kevin Owens, because I know the big topic of conversation is where this match is going to take place. A lot of people are saying Elimination Chamber, which I can see, because it could easily be one of those things where they sell the match for a few weeks. Was even when KO did it to Cody came back within like 2 weeks. So it could easily be one of those things where it's like, Sammy's out for, I guess, let's say maybe another week just to play off of what I said. And then they could possibly run this match at the Elimination Chamber. I'm only saying that because you still got to slot Randy Orton into something. And I don't really feel like, and Randy Orton's not hurt. Like, that angle was just to write him off, just to add more to that whole entire program that was going on between Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens. That was the whole purpose of Randy Orton getting taken out. He's just waiting for the right moment to insert him back on television again, which is why I'm saying this could possibly lead to a match at Elimination Chamber. They're at their home. I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if this is the main event. I don't necessarily think you really need to have the Elimination Chamber to main event unless you really want to capitalize on it, that I could understand. But I
like,
could definitely
if Cena or Punk are winning the Chamber, I would say that has precedence to be the main event.
Definitely. But let's just be the co-main event then. But it's like
exactly.
But it's like I could see this match taking place there. Randy could possibly come back towards the end of the match. Maybe this leads to a Sammy win. Randy comes back towards the end of the match, and then you set up something between KO and Orton. Because Orton, you obviously got to play off that story before both of them move on. You can't just have Randy come back. It's like, oh shit, I want to target Cody or some random person without acknowledging what happened. So it's like we'll just have to wait and see what other updates we get on Raw next week. What sort of updates we get on SmackDown leading towards the event. Because yes, it could be a WrestleMania match, but I also had to factor in Orton too. It's kind of like how earlier this year we didn't really know what the card was because we had to really speculate, okay, what's Rock doing? Now we know what Rock's now we know Rock's not involved, and holy shit, look at the domino effect Rock did on the card. Just imagine if Rock
again.
Yeah.
How does he keep getting away with this every single year now? Like,
you would
he keeps throwing a monkey wrench.
Because you would think if you actually got Cody, and Rock this year, you probably would have gotten a Gunther and John Cena. I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if that was the game plan. But that's past news. Not even worried. Not even gonna dive into that. But I am excited for them. They work very well with one another. I like how. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if there's like some sort of unsanctioned match. So that'd be pretty cool if they want to
Yeah.
do something like that, because he did say it's serious. And I mean, if you really want to push it to the next level, especially with this version of Kevin Owens, the unhinged version, I mean, do an unsanctioned match in their hometown. That's like a potential match of the year contender right here, just having both of these guys in here.
Yeah.
They know each other so well, they can read each other like a book. I mean, they've always put on great matches for each other. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm excited for whenever we get it.
Oh, me too. And yeah, just let them both go out there and just go all out. Just don't rein them in. Just let them do their thing and let them create the magic. Because both Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are that damn good that they could do that easily. But yeah, I mean, with that, we've got the end of SmackDown. That was everything to do with SmackDown. Again, I thought this was a much better show than last week. Definitely a much better show than Monday, I think, too, as well. Just because, like, I didn't find too much to really be angry about, I guess, for tonight. I mean, again, my one only thing, really, just the commentators. I think Vic Joseph really stepped up to the plate and kind of showed that he does have the chops to do commentating on the main roster. If anything, he just fits like a glove so well, and that, like, he's one of my favorite parts of NXT. You know, just whenever I get the chance to watch it or listen to it. So having him on the main roster, yeah, it's engaging. It's great, and like the way he tells a story is really good too. Like, he does a really good job of tying the moves in so seamlessly with whatever story's going on. Like, yeah, keep him on the main roster for a bit. And I mean, Joe, just step up your game. That's really it. But like everything else, I mean, it's panning out fine for Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania with some people. But yeah, what did you think of SmackDown overall?
I thought SmackDown was a good show. I liked it a lot better compared to last week. I like a lot of story developments when it came to a lot of people on the show, like we talked about. So I'm happy that things are heading in a good direction. A lot of story, especially with the Elimination Chamber, which I really do appreciate. So happy about that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, same here. So, all right. Well, hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, that was this show tonight. I know a little bit earlier than usual, but hey, that's fine. Again, we're not too deep into WrestleMania season. I think after Elimination Chamber next week, we'll start being able to kind of talk a little bit more and deeper about a lot of things, because that's when promo work is gonna start kind of bumping up a little bit, and yeah, some of the ring action too is gonna be stepping up as well. But hey, just to do some quick plugs, of course, you see those little ats at the bottom of the screen. That is the ats. That is where you can find us on any social media platform. We usually have the same names on all of those, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky ish, all that stuff, even YouTube as well, because me and Drop have our own singles content that we do on the weekly, on the daily, during the week, all that stuff. But yeah, check out those handles down below, follow us on all of those, and we'll have a nice fun discussion about, like, whether it's wrestling, anime, manga, cartoons, horror, video games, all that stuff. But hey, we're going to take time right now to thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to the Weebs of the Ring podcast. If you enjoyed what we had to say, again, follow us on all those social media platforms through those wonderful links in the description as well. And also use the hashtag Weebs of the Ring so you can interact with us before, during, or after these shows. Feedback is also always appreciated, as we are nothing without you guys tuning in. Weebs of the Ring is presented by Animo Wii Studio. Thanks, of course, to our wonderful production team for everything that you guys do in front of the camera, behind the camera, all that stuff. And just, thank you once again. And remember, as always, no stunt grannies were harmed in the recording of this podcast. Have a good night, ladies and gentlemen, and stay tuned for NXT Vengeance Day tomorrow.
All right, see you guys. Have a good night.